Hi, welcome to What the Flick. I'm Christy. This is Alonzo. This is Matt. This is Ben. There's a little thing called Star Wars Episode VII, something the something coming out soon.
The Force Awakens. You're killing me.
And so we're going to go back and we're going to look at all of the previous Star Wars movies. We did Episode 4, and we're going to do Episode 5, and Alonzo's going to describe it to us, perhaps.
So yes, Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Them rebel boys are sure in a heap of trouble after blowing up that Death Star. Boss Hog is mad, and so, yeah, shit blows up. Take a look.
Creators of the biggest smash hit of all time bring you the next episode in the Star Wars saga, The Empire Strikes Back.
You know what happens in The Empire Strikes Back.
This is the best one of them all. People talk about when is there a sequel that's better than the original. This is always the one I go to. Yes, sure. Godfather 2. I know.
Gremlins 2.
But this is so good. This matters. Like, it does that tricky thing where it's cohesive, but also stands on its own. It's not a placeholder. Right. Important shit goes down. Important revelations. New shit has come to light. Right. Important things happen in this film.
And the expectations around this movie were so crazy high, and it manages to surpass them in an amazing way. And I think a lot of it, you have to look at the script that Lawrence Kasdan wrote.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And Lee Brackett.
And Lee Brackett. The dialogue here is so much better. And you take these characters that, you loved and there was an appeal to them, but this gives them real depth and real edge, right? And especially the Han and Leia relationship, I think is really, really well told in here. And in a way that when, we'll talk about this in the prequels, when you see the Anakin-Padme relationship, it's so painful.
It's so cringe-inducing.
The chemistry between, you could do arguably a whole movie just about a character like Han and just a character like Leia navigating a relationship.
Yeah, they're Nick and Nora Charles.
Yeah, kind of.
In space.
Yes.
Exactly.
On ice.
Yeah, no, but when Han gets frozen in carbonite, spoiler, we should put some spoiler alerts down the bottom of the screen. When Han gets frozen, spoiler alert, there's genuine emotion in a way that I don't think you necessarily expect. Spoiler alert again, when Luke finds out that Darth Vader is his dad, you feel his anguish, and it takes place in this epic setting. But the visuals and the revelation all together, it's a powerful moment that I don't think you expect from this kind of movie necessarily.
For me, for that line, there's a play it again Sam moment there. He doesn't say, "Luke, I am your father."
No, he does not.
He does not say that.
I am your father.
Right. I was like, no.
Search your feelings. You'll know it to be true.
So I like that part. This is better because the dialogue. The dialogue in the first one was it's painful. Mm-hmm. It's painful. It's laughable, and it's significantly better here. It is no longer painful.
TCM, you want to give us some Lee Brackett background for people who don't know?
Lee Brackett, super. Do we know what the distribution was on this? Who
wrote what?
Who wrote what? Or
I'm sure someone does. I don't.
Yeah.
Who's Lee Brackett?
Oh, Lee Brackett. I'm sorry. Super important breakthrough screenwriter who I believed was dead by 1980. So no, not the case.
Was she still alive when the movie came out, or because she may have died around then?
Yeah, but you just gave it away there. There weren't. This is being a female screenwriter throughout the 1940s and 50s. That was a huge rarity. Wrote for John Wayne.
Yeah. The Big Sleep.
Right, wrote The Big Sleep. So it was. There were more women writers than you think. But still, as you might imagine, this was when we did our influential women of film series, I think in September, maybe it was in October. We showed more modern movies than we usually do because from 1940 through the 60s, there weren't nobody directed.
Ida Lupino and that's
right, it was Ida Lupino and nothing else, and mostly she was doing TV once the 50s came around, so there was almost nothing to show. But there were some screenwriters, and there had been some screenwriters earlier, Francis Marion, but really significant work from Lee Brackett in a men's town and a men's club. But they liked the way, but she could write for men.
And, one of the things that, Lucas and Spielberg get shit about is that, Spielberg spent however much money to buy the existing Rosebud sled, but wouldn't fund Orson Welles finishing, The Other Side of the Wind. This is a case, at least, where they're reaching out to these filmmakers who influenced them so much and actually gave them a paying gig, So to bring Lee Brackett onto this film, not only, I think, improves the movie, but also it was a way of Lucas acknowledging that, there is this Hollywood past that he's drawing from, and that those people are still around and valuable and have something to contribute, even though they're past their sort of, studio shelf life.
I wonder who wrote the Yoda dialogue.
Well, I wonder, and also because that romance is so believable, and I don't want to typecast Lee Brackett for having handled the
Girl
the
stuff.
the Han, Leia, that chemistry, but it wouldn't surprise me.
There's also the Luke and Leia chemistry, which really comes to light in this as well. I think about that. The last shot of Empire Strikes Back is so beautiful.
Right.
Of the two of them standing side by side, looking out.
Right.
Like that bond is really clear there and very touching. It's telepathic at that point. Go ahead.
Yeah, you get this deeper level of characterization for all of the leads in this. You get a couple of new characters. You even get a little bit more of Darth Vader than you had seen before. You get a little bit more characterization. You get Lando Calrissian coming in, who's this other scoundrel that Han knows, and even within his short part of the movie, he's got a legit character arc. This is a movie that takes all of the best of the first film and fixes all of the mistakes of the first film. And it's a damn near perfect movie. I do want to point out, a lot of people complain that acting-wise, Mark Hamill is the weak spot of the original trilogy. And I think if you put in context that he is effectively acting solo through most of this movie.
Not Han Solo.
Not Han Solo.
By himself.
Most of the scenes we see him in,
right.
he's either opposite
A puppet.
Yoda.
he's opposite
Yeah.
the Wampa. He's sitting in a cockpit by himself. He's talking to a robot. He's talking to Yoda. He's talking to a guy in a mask whose dialogue's going to get redubbed completely.
Right.
So he's effectively working by himself the whole time. And I
He
think
invented green screen.
Right. And he has more of an arc, I think, than probably everybody else in this movie, right? Because he's still kind of a whiny little bitch, as Alonzo put it.
But it is
he
his
has
journey,
to become a
though.
Jedi, right?
It is his
So,
journey,
yeah.
yeah.
It is, but also I think there's something about Hamill in all three of these movies, and he's obviously the least experienced, that comes through. But because he is supposed to be so incredibly wide-eyed and naive through this, that it plays much better than you might think it would.
Yeah,
Don't
absolutely.
you think? Yeah.
It does feed into the character. I have a beef with this movie,
Okay.
And it is the beef that Joss Whedon has with this movie,
Okay.
which is that it is not a standalone film. It ends on a cliffhanger. And I remember in 1980 being super pissed about that because we had waited 3 years for this sequel, and it was going to be another 3 years before we found out how it was resolved. And so now that we can watch them all back to back, it's a more of a moot point. But at the time, I was like, what the fuck?
No,
You can't end a movie in the middle.
I didn't remember how it ended. I'm not even 1,000,000,000% sure I saw it. I mean, I presume.
Are you 1,000,000,000% sure of anything?
Yeah.
You were in
Yes.
America in 1980. You saw this movie.
But that
Through sheer
ending-
osmosis.
But even 2 nights ago, seeing that ending, I was like, "Come on, man, you can't do that." You can't
No,
end
but
it.
that's how
and
like
that's-
Hunger Games movies end. That's how Twilight movies end.
Well,
Right.
I think they got that from
But
this
you know
one.
what?
Yeah.
Those movies
But
come
that
out
happens
1
now.
year apart.
That's true. They are a year apart.
And it's like
right.
I get it's an homage to the Republic serials and the whole cliffhanger thing, and he didn't get out of the cock-a-doodle car. But at the time, knowing that it was going to be another 3 years and being 13, I was furious.
Well, that's
about
about you. That's not about the movie. That's about you and your
Well, no,
expectations.
but still, I think that I'm not saying that every movie has to be completely discrete ETE, but in the case of, if you're not doing a saga like the current ones where they're just like bam, 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 knocking them out, that's a lot to ask of an audience.
And there's a book you can look
Right,
at.
and there's a lot of closure that you don't get in this film, right? Like the reveal from Darth Vader isn't the only cliffhanger, right? Like you end the movie with like, holy shit, what's going to happen with Han? Holy shit, who's the other that Yoda talks about, right?
Right.
So there's a lot of unanswered questions. You do get closure to Leia and Han's story, and like they finally
Right,
talk
I
to
love
their
you, I know,
relationship.
right.
You know, you
I know.
get a character arc out of Lando. That's kind of it. And yeah, so it's all, you end up on these cliffhangers, and you're, similar to, because it's this serial, you're dying for the next one.
But also, speaking of cliffhangers, literally hanging, like his escape is dumb.
No,
Oh, come on.
Cloud City. He's just hanging out. Why is that dumb? He's waiting for them to come get him.
Shaft, and then he did. It's dumb, and the thing, it's like, and here's what I think
Are you
part
just
of
talking about
Dumb.
shafts?
It's dumb that they're twins with telepathic abilities.
No,
Come
it's
on.
dumb that he's hanging like this. Too simple. Like there's a way. Like she didn't go
But
to
the levitating stuff is okay.
No, but I mean, again, they set up a world like so. I don't mind when the stuff happens inside the world. They didn't break their own rules. I thought that was a very silly escape, and it was devoid.
He just lost his hand.
And he'd rather be dead than be Darth Vader's
By the way,
son.
he had very little pain. There's no shock from the hand.
Well, I think it cauterizes
Yeah,
immediately. you know.
instantly. So I didn't. But like, here's what I think one of my problems is with all three of the movies too. I just sort of may have figured it out. Is that we're given these grand introductions, right? I mean, the titles themselves, except for the first dumb one, tell the story. The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. Like, there's nothing confusing about what you're about to see, and that matters. That helps tell the story, and that certainly I think made it clearly appealing to a lot of young fans.
Unlike,
then-
say, Shaft goes to Africa.
But then I
Who
don't
knows
think.
what happens in that movie.
Ernest goes to camp.
Abbott and Costello meet
What the hell knows,
Frankenstein.
right? But
Smokey and the Bandit.
What was that about?
Gold standard, Smokey and the Bandit.
the whole movie was about taking beer from one state to another. That was it, beer.
Oh, that's the Han Solo movie you like.
But
What's
what I
beer a
don't-
metaphor for?
But
I'm
like,
sorry.
then so we're set up for these grand things, and then we don't. These battles feel small. Like a lot of what like they're fighting both in Jedi and here, like they're fighting in the desert or wherever the hell they were
Oh,
fighting.
come on, the big walkie things in the snow?
That's
Those are
cool.
grand
not a desert.
tools, but
That's
we're
the
never
snow.
told like this is why if this is a battle for the galaxy, how is one battle for the galaxy determined?
It's a rebel base.
I got it.
It's not. It's not the battle for the galaxy. It's oh look, oh shit, they found our hideout, and the Empire is so overwhelming that all the rebels can do is this is a holding action. Like we just need to hold them off long enough to escape.
So what that needs then to me is then maybe, and I bet we get it in this one, is some depiction of the Empire. Something that makes us legitimately, other than a guy in a black cape.
No,
Something
you
that
get
makes
that.
us fear the
I
Empire.
totally disagree. I
I
get
think we
that.
need to see. No, I mean I need to see where the Empire is exerting
And I'll-
its brutal will elsewhere
He
in
I'll
the
tell
built
you
a
the
system.
scene
planet
that you
that
missed.
destroys other planets.
Right, I'll tell you the
That's
scene
a
that
big
you
deal,
missed
right?
because at the
Hammer
very beginning,
Alderaan, yeah.
early on in the film, like
A
so
million souls cried out.
one of our first shots in the first film is that long. It's been parodied to death.
Don't they all open with an imperial?
So the first one we get, we're underneath the Star Destroyer. It's like, oh, holy shit, that's a big ship, right? So then later on in this one, we see one of those Star Destroyers, and then there's a shadow, right? And then you see this thing that makes the Star Destroyer look this big, and that's, I think, the first moment you get like, okay, the Empire's got unlimited resources.
It's that
Maybe
ship
it-
from
I want to
Spaceballs.
see it. I wanted to see them, enslaving people. I wanted to see their council
that.
meeting. I wanted to see the Emperor before we saw him. Sort of something that.
Wait till the prequels. You get all the
Yeah, you got
council
that in the
meetings you
prequels.
want.
Complain.
I
Yeah,
like
just
Star Wars. I
filibustering.
just want more
Trade
boardroom-
routes.
I want more boardroom meetings.
If you love
Oh,
C-SPAN,
brother.
you'll love Phantom Menace. Okay. So what are our numbers then on episode 5? I'm gonna go first. 9.8. This movie's amazing.
I'm gonna say 9. It's great, but the cliffhanger thing still bugs me after all this time.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. 9.5.
What I give it an 8?
You gave it an 8. Are you okay with that?
The best one, I guess.
All right. There's your blow from Ben. It's a 9.1 from us.
Yeah, 94% on the tomato meter.
All right, what again? 1 in 20.
Get with the 94.
All right. Bye. Enjoy. Bye.